June 21, 1941, 23:40 hours. An assembly area hidden in a dense forest near Brest-Litovsk occupied Poland. The air is thick, humid, and alive. It smells of pine resin, crushed earth, and the sharp metallic tang of diesel exhaust. Hundreds of engines idle. A deep, throbbing vibration you feel in your teeth and your gut. This is the sound of Heeresgruppe Mitte Army Group Center coiled to strike. Inside the cramped turret of a Panzerkampfwagen III aus VH, Oberleutnant Wolfram Kessel wipes a film of sweat and dust from his goggles. His throat is raw. For 12 hours his Panzer division has been moving into these final positions, track to track, shrouded by the forest canopy. The dust is a choking, gritty fog that coats every surface. Through his open cupola, he sees only the dark outlines of the tanks in front and behind him, their faint exhaust glow barely visible. Kessel commands a platoon in the 18th Panzer Division. He is a veteran of Poland and France. He has complete, unshakable faith in his machine. His Panzer III is the pinnacle of modern warfare. Its 5-centimeter KWK-38 L-42 gun, the long 50, had proven more than a match for the French Char B-1 Bis and the British Matilda. It is a precise high-velocity weapon, a surgeon's scalpel. His crew, Karl at the gun, Eric on the radio, young Hans driving, are a well-oiled part of this steel beast. They have been told what to expect. The pre-operation briefings from Oberkommando des Heeres, OKH, the Army High Command, were clear. The intelligence was comprehensive. The Red Army is a lumbering headless giant. Its officer corps was gutted by Stalin's purges. Its equipment is a joke. Kessel had seen the recognition charts. The T-26, a flimsy copy of a pre-war British design. The BT series fast tanks, comically lightly armored, good only for frightening cavalry. They are, in the words of his battalion commandeur, tin cans. The prevailing wisdom, passed down from the very highest echelons in Berlin, is one of contempt. This is not a real army. This is a Judeo-Bolshevik rabble, an Untermensch horde. Their industrial capacity is primitive. Their leadership, incompetent. The Führer himself has declared the entire structure rotten, needing only one good kick to collapse. Kessel checks his watch. 2 hours. 2 hours until Unternehmen Barbarossa begins. He allows himself a small, confident smile. The Wehrmacht had crushed France, the supposed greatest army in Europe, in 6 weeks. How long could this rabble last? He taps his microphone. Hans, keep the engine steady. Don't let it stall. Jawohl, Herr Oberleutnant. The driver's voice crackles back, tinny and distant. Kessel looks east, through the black trees, toward the Bug River, toward the Soviet border. He pictures the open steppes, the perfect tank country. His panzers were designed for this, the Blitzkrieg, the lightning war. They will punch through the line, encircle millions, and be in Moscow by October before the first snows fall. The High Command has assured them of this. The Soviet Union, they said, possesses nothing that can stand against the German panzer. They are wrong. Disastrously, horrifyingly wrong. As Oberleutnant Kessel waits for the signal just a few hundred kilometers away, hidden under similar camouflage nets, sit machines of a different order. Machines conceived in paranoia, built in secrecy, and designed for one purpose: survival. They have no doctrinal precedent. They look unfinished and crude, brutal. One of them is called the T-34, and it is about to render Wolfram Kessel's world and the entire German High Command's doctrine obsolete. June 22, 1941, 03:15 hours. The Bug River. The world explodes. A sound like the sky tearing apart rips Oberleutnant Kessel from his strained silence. It is not one gun or 100. It is thousands. The massed artillery of the Wehrmacht opens fire as one. A rolling thunder that shakes the ground, rattles Kessel's teeth, and turns the pre-dawn horizon to the east into a flickering, strobing wall of orange light. Alle Panzer Motor an. Kessel shouts into his throat mic, his voice tight. Hans, move us out. Column formation. Keep 50 meters. The Panzer III lurches forward, crashing through the underbrush, its engine roaring to join the cacophony. They emerge from the forest onto a rolling plain. The air is black with smoke, lit by the flashes of their own artillery and the bright, desperate return fire from the Soviet border positions. Stuka dive bombers scream overhead, their Jericho trumpet sirens wailing, a sound designed to inflict pure terror. They cross the river on pontoon bridges laid with shocking speed by the Pionieren. The first line of Soviet resistance is pathetic. Wooden bunkers are pulverized. Infantry, many still in their sleeping clothes, are cut down by the Panzer's machine guns. By 06 Gars they are deep past the border. The initial reports crackle over the radio. Total surprise achieved. The Luftwaffe has shattered the Red Air Force on the ground. It is, Kessel thinks, exactly as planned. At Air 830, they meet the first Soviet armor. Find contact. Eric, the radio operator, yells. Tanks, 11 o'clock. Range, 800 meters. Kessel puts his binoculars to the vision slit. I see them, 6. T-26, he scoffs. They look exactly like the recognition charts. Small, boxy, with a pea-shooter gun. Karl, he orders his gunner. Target lead tank. Panzergranate 39. Fire when ready. Ziel erfasst. Target acquired. Karl's voice is calm, practiced. The Panzer III's 50mm gun barks, a sharp metallic crack. The tank shudders slightly. Kessel watches the tracer round streak across the field. It hits. Clang boom. The T-26's thin vertical armor offers no resistance. The shell punches straight through. A bright flash blooms from its turret ring and a plume of thick, oily black smoke follows. It slews to a stop, burning. Treffer. Hit. Karl is already traversing to the next target. Nächstes Ziel. In 90 seconds, Kessel's platoon destroys 4 of the 6 Soviet tanks. The remaining 2 turn and flee, rattling clumsily over the terrain. See? Kessel says. A surge of adrenaline and vindication washing over him. Tin cans, just as they said. All morning, it is the same. They encounter pockets of BT-7 fast tanks. They are quick, but their armor is paper. Kessel's gunner doesn't even bother with armor-piercing rounds. High explosive shells are enough to shatter them. By noon, Kessel's platoon alone has accounted for 11 confirmed kills. The blitzkrieg is working. The high command was right. Then near the Lithuanian town of Alytus, the mockery stops. They are advancing along a dusty road, flanking a column of Wehrmacht trucks. The division is moving fast, perhaps too fast. The radio chatter speaks of a major counterattack forming. Stop, Kessel commands. Hans slams the brakes. The Panzer III rocks to a halt. What is it, Herr Oberleutnant? Ahead in the shadows, by that farmhouse. Kessel strains his eyes. Something is there. It's big. He can't make out the shape. It's too low, too wide. Karl, 2 o'clock. Do you see it? Yeah. I see movement. Is it a barn? No. It's a tank. Gott im Himmel, it's massive. Is it a land battleship? Identify it, Eric. Nothing on the charts, Herr Oberleutnant. It matches no known type. The thing moves. It emerges from the shadow of the destroyed Izba into the harsh afternoon sun. It is painted a flat, ugly green. Its construction looks crude. The welds are rough. The armor plates are not vertical, but angled back at sharp, severe degrees. It sits on wide, flat tracks, and its long-barreled gun looks more like a piece of artillery than a tank cannon. It looks primitive, Karl mutters. Target it, Kessel orders, his heart suddenly cold. Fire! Crack! The 50mm shell screams across the 600 meters. Kessel watches through his optics. He sees the impact. A bright yellow spark flashes on the sharply sloped front plate, and then he hears a sound he has never heard before. Ree! The sound of a high-velocity shell failing to bite. The sound of hardened steel skipping off an angled surface like a flat stone off a lake. The tracer round spins wildly up into the sky, ricocheting. Inside the turret, the men look at each other. What? Karl is stunned. A ricochet? At this range? Reload, fire again. Aim for the turret! Kessel shouts, crack. Another shot. Another identical, terrifying whirr. The shell deflects harmlessly off the rounded cast turret. The green monster stops. Its wide turret begins to turn. The movement is slow, ponderous, and then it aims directly at them. Kessel sees a black hole, a muzzle break, and then a flash of orange fire so large it seems to swallow the tank itself. Kawam! The sound is not a crack. It is a deep, chest-thumping boom. 50 meters to Kessel's right, Lieutenant Becker's Panzer III simply ceases to exist. One moment it is there. The next, a deafening explosion rips the turret from its hull and tosses it 10 meters into the air. The chassis erupts in a column of fire. The shockwave hits Kessel's tank, rocking it on its suspension. Becker! Becker? Kessel screams into the mic. Only static replies, kein Durchschlag. Karl is yelling, his voice cracking in panic. No penetration! It's not penetrating. Hans, reverse! Reverse, get us behind that rise! Nebel, Kessel screams for the smoke launchers. As Hans throws the tank into a grinding reverse, the green tank fires again. The shell hits the ground just in front of them, showering the Panzer III with earth and shrapnel that hammers against the hull like a blacksmith. Kessel ducks, his hands over his head. They make it behind the low hill, his heart pounding so hard he thinks his ribs will break. He grabs the radio handset, trying to reach his commandeer. Report. Herr Hauptmann, Kessel gasps, his voice trembling. We are engaged by a new Soviet type. Unknown designation. Armor is impenetrable. Our 50mm rounds are deflecting. I repeat, they are deflecting. It destroyed Becker's Panzer with one shot. We need an 88. The reply is skeptical, buried in static. Oberleutnant, calm yourself. You've likely encountered a dug-in coastal gun. There are no Soviet tanks with such armor. Press the attack. It is not a coastal gun, Kessel rages. It is a tank. It is moving. It is advancing. He peers over the rise. The strange tank is rolling forward, its broad tracks churning the earth. It is joined by two more. They are called the T-34 76, and the German High Command has absolutely no idea they exist. Kessel's tank is now a steel coffin, its only virtue the speed of its reverse gear. The three green monsters advance with a terrifying mechanical indifference. They are not fast, not in this initial cautious push, but they are relentless. The sound of their 76.2mm guns firing, that deep echoing boom, is punctuated by the crack of Kessel's Panzer regiment desperately trying to fight back. To the right, Kessel screams. Into that gully. Flank them! Karl, aim for the tracks. Aim for the tracks. I can't get a clear shot. The gunner yells back, his voice high with panic. The Panzer III bounces violently as Hans throws it into a hard right turn, engine screaming in protest. Another Panzer III in his platoon, commanded by Feldwebel Schmidt, breaks cover to try the same maneuver. He is silhouetted against the afternoon sky for less than 3 seconds. Kawoom! A T-34 fires. The shell and BR-358 armor-piercing round strikes Schmidt's tank high on the hull. It doesn't ricochet. It doesn't fail to penetrate. It punches through the 30mm of face-hardened steel as if it were plywood. The Panzer III explodes instantly, a catastrophic detonation of its own ammunition. Gott! Eric, the radio operator, is praying, huddled over his set. Herr Oberleutnant, the Kommandeur, is calling for Stuka support. He's calling for heavy artillery. We don't have time for Stukas. Kessel shouts, peering through the periscope. He watches one of the T-34s rumble past the burning husk of Becker's tank. It doesn't even slow down. It just rolls forward, its long gun seeking its next victim. This is not a battle. It is a slaughter. Kessel's mind races. The doctrine is clear. Against a superior foe, use speed. Use tactics. Blitzkrieg is about maneuver, not brute force. But how do you flank a target you cannot harm? How do you outmaneuver an enemy that can destroy you from a range where you are totally ineffective? Fire! Just fire! Keep firing! Kessel orders, an edge of desperation in his voice. Fire at the vision slits. Fire at the gun mantle. Karl fires again and again. Crack. Crack. The 50mm rounds are wasted. They are pebbles thrown against a fortress wall. Suddenly a new sound joins the fray. A sharp flat pack? From a hidden position on their right flank, a Panzerjäger crew, an anti-tank team, has unlimbered their weapon. It's a 3.7cm Pak 36, the standard anti-tank gun of the German infantry. It's a small, nimble weapon respected by its crews, who nicknamed it the Heeresankloffgerät, the army's door knocker. Kessel watches as the Pak 36 crew, models of suicidal courage, fire at the lead T-34 from less than 300 meters. Pak! Bah! The tiny 3.7cm shells strike the T-34's sloped glacis plate and vanish in tiny, useless sparks. They are quite literally just knocking on the door. The T-34 stops. Its turret swivels. It hasn't even bothered with its main gun. A coaxial machine gun stutters to life. The high-velocity rounds tear across the field, ripping the gun shield and the crew to red shreds. A cold, bottomless dread settles in Kessel's stomach. It's not just his Panzer III that is obsolete. It's everything. The Pak 36, the Panzer II, the Czech-made Panzer 38T. The entire inventory that had conquered Europe is now junk. Pull back! Kessel screams. All units, pull back to phase line Ruby. Reform at the gully. Disengage. The retreat is a rout. Kessel's Panzer III lurches backward. firing smoke canisters to cover its escape. Behind them, they leave a junkyard of burning German armor. The 3 T-34s do not pursue. They simply stop, holding the field, their dark, angular shapes victorious against the smoke-filled sky. By 18 hours, what is left of Kessel's company has regrouped. They are stunned, silent. The crews of the surviving tanks sit on their hulls, chain-smoking, their faces black with soot and pale with shock. They have lost 7 of their 12 panzers in an engagement that lasted less than 10 minutes. That evening, the first after-action reports begin to filter up the chain of command. From platoons to companies, from regiments to divisions, from the panzer groups of Guderian and Hoth all the way to Heeresgruppe Mitte headquarters, and from there to the Oberkommando des Heeres in Berlin. The reports are disjointed, hysterical. They sound like fantasy. General Major Friedrich Brand, Chief of Staff for the 3rd Panzer Group, reads the incoming signals with disbelief. Reports of invincible tanks, rounds deflecting at point-blank range, impenetrable armor. This is nonsense. It's battle shock. The men are exaggerating. In Berlin, the mood is one of dismissal. These are isolated incidents. The Bolsheviks must have cobbled together a few experimental prototypes, freak tanks, or perhaps heavily armored coastal defense fortifications on railway cars. They are of no strategic importance. The main intelligence assessment remains unchanged. The Red Army is shattered. Their equipment third-rate. The official daily summary from OKH to the Führer's headquarters at the Wolfschanze makes no mention of a new Soviet tank. It speaks only of glorious advances and enemy defenses collapsing. But on the front lines, the men who had to face it know the truth. They have a new name for the Pak 36 door knocker. They call it the Panzer-Anklopfgerät, the tank knocker, and they are terrified of what is coming tomorrow. June 23, 1941, 14:30 hours. Near the Dubisa River, Lithuania. The dust is different here, finer, like talcum. It coats the dark gray hulls of the Panzer 38Ts of the 6th Panzer Division, Heeresgruppe Nord. General Major Franz Landgraf, the division commander, is impatient. His forces have punched through the Soviet border defenses and are now tasked with seizing the river crossings. The advance has been swift, but now it has stopped. Dead. The radio net is screaming. Not with reports of breakthroughs, but with a single panicked word. Riesenpanzer. Giant tank, a reconnaissance patrol from Kampfgruppe Raus, an armored battle group under Colonel Erhard Raus, has run into something. Raus himself, a respected officer, sounds shaken as his report is patched through to divisional command. Herr General Major, Raus's voice crackles, laced with static and the nearby crump of mortars. My advance is blocked. We have engaged a Soviet heavy tank of unknown type. It is monstrous. Define monstrous, Colonel, Landgraf replies, tapping his map case. Is it one of these new types we've been hearing rumors about? It is. Larger than a Panzer IV. Armor appears impervious. We have engaged it with 2 Pa-36 platoons, no effect. We have brought up a 50mm Pak-38. No effect. The rounds are bouncing. It has destroyed 6 of our trucks and 2 Panzer 38Ts that attempted to flank it. It is sitting on the road. Just sitting. Landgraf takes his staff car to the front. What he sees defies all his training. On a crossroads, dominating the rolling hills, sits a single Soviet tank. It is not the sloped green machine Kessel encountered. This one is a brute. It's a vast slab-sided behemoth of steel, painted a dirty brown. Its turret is huge, its gun thick and menacing. It sits there with a kind of arrogant stillness, its long 76mm barrel pointed down the road. This is the Kliment Voroshilov, the KV-1. Why aren't we engaging it? Landgraf demands. We are, Herr General Mayor. A young Hauptmann gestures, his face streaked with sweat. Watch. On his command, another Pak-36 opens fire from a concealed ditch. Pak, pak, pak. The small high-velocity shells streak across the 400 meters. They strike the KV-1's hull, and the Hauptmann is right. They don't just ricochet. They seem to disintegrate on impact like tiny fireworks. The KV-1's turret turns, an agonizingly slow movement. It fires. Boom. The sound is heavy, concussive. The Pak-36 and its crew vanish in a cloud of dirt and black smoke. Get the artillery on it. Landgraf orders a battery of 105mm field howitzers. The Leichte Feldhaubitze 18 is brought to bear. These are not anti-tank guns, but they fire a heavy, high-explosive shell. For 30 minutes, they pound the KV-1's position. The crossroads is choked with smoke, the air filled with the shriek of incoming shells and the thunder of their detonations. When the smoke clears, the KV-1 is still there. Its tracks are damaged, its paint is scorched, but its armor is unbroken. The turret begins to turn again. The Lanzer watching from their trenches are paralyzed. "This is not a tank. It is a dragon." "This is madness," Landgraf mutters. "It's holding up the entire Kampfgruppe." Colonel Rouse tries a different tactic. He orders a full company of Panzer III ATs to attack it, not from the front, but from 3 directions at once. A wolf-pack attack, hoping to get a shot at its thinner rear armor. The Czech-made tanks, nimble and reliable, charge forward, their 37mm guns firing on the move. Clang, clang, clang. The shots ping harmlessly off the KV-1's thick hide. The monster fires its main gun, destroying 1 Panzer. It fires again, crippling another. Its machine guns sweep the field, forcing the others to retreat behind the hills. The sun begins to set. The entire advance of the 6th Panzer Division is being held at bay by 1 single tank. Desperation breeds ingenuity. Under cover of darkness, a pioneer assault squad is assembled. Their leader, a lieutenant clutching several Geballte Ladungen, bundled charges, multiple stick grenades wired together, briefs his men in a whisper. "We go for the tracks, then the turret ring. We must get on top of it, do not fail." They crawl through the wet grass, the smell of cordite thick in their nostrils. They can hear the KV-1's engine idling, a deep diesel rumble. They get within 20 meters. 10 meters, a searchlight snaps on from the tank's hull. Machine guns open up. The night is filled with screams and the flat thump-thump-thump of the pioneer leader's bundled charge detonating harmlessly against the side armor. The assault fails. It is only at dawn the next day, June 24th, that the weapon that will define the rest of the war is brought forward. Acht, acht. The word passes down the line like a prayer. They bring up an 8.8 cm Flak 36, the 88. It is an anti-aircraft gun, not meant for this. It is heavy, cumbersome, with a high profile that makes it a perfect target. Its crew frantically digs it in, shields it with sandbags, and aims its long, lethal barrel directly at the KV-1 700 meters away. Feuer. The 88's report is not a crack or a boom. It is an earth-shattering crackoom. The shell, traveling at over 820 meters per second, does not ricochet. It strikes the KV-1 on the hull. There's a flash of blue-white light. The shell punches clean through the 75mm of armor. It punches through the crew compartment. And it punches out the other side. 2 more shots. Krakum, krakum. Both penetrate. The KV-1 shudders. A wisp of black smoke curls from its gun barrel. And then, it is silent. When the German soldiers cautiously approach, they find the tank's armor is pockmarked by dozens of impacts from the 37mm and 50mm guns, looking like bee stings. And 3 neat, perfectly drilled 88mm holes. The crisis for now is over. But the shockwave has just begun. The reports from Kessel's unit and Rouse's Kampfgruppe are now flooding OKH. They are no longer dismissed. They are cross-referenced. They are confirmed. In Berlin, the generals are staring at grainy photographs and frantic reports. The T-34, the KV-1, their entire invasion plan, predicated on armor superiority, is built on a lie. October 1941. Headquarters of Panzergruppe II, near Bryansk. The first snow is falling. It is wet, heavy, and miserable, turning the unpaved Russian roads into a bottomless ocean of mud. The Rasputitsa, the great blitzkrieg advance on Moscow, once measured in dozens of kilometers per day, is now measured in meters. The supply trucks are stuck. The infantry is exhausted and the panzers are freezing. General Oberst Heinz Guderian, the architect of the Panzerwaffe and the very concept of lightning war, is furious. He stands by the side of a road, his long leather coat slick with sleet, watching a Panzer III spin its narrow tracks uselessly in the black, sucking mud. His grand offensive has been stopped, not just by the weather, but by the machines Kessel and Rouse had warned of. All summer, the reports had poured in. T-34s and KVs appearing in greater and greater numbers, savaging his panzer divisions. The German response so far has been one of desperation. They are rushing the Panzer for long, upgrading its short 75-meter howitzer to a long-barreled, high-velocity KWK-40 L-43 gun. But they are too few. They are frantically mounting Czech 76.2mm guns onto Panzer chassis to create the martyr tank destroyers. But these are stopgaps, thinly armored, open-topped, and vulnerable. The only reliable tank killer remains the 80mm flak gun, but it is an anti-aircraft gun. It is tall, exposed, and must be towed into position. It is a defensive weapon, anathema to Guderian's philosophy of offensive mobile warfare. To kill these new tanks, his beloved Panzerwaffe has had to stop attacking. Guderian has seen the T-34s for himself. He has watched them float over the exact same mud that is now swallowing his army. Their wide tracks, a revolutionary design derived from the American Christie suspension, distribute their weight perfectly, giving them a ground pressure so low they simply glide over the bog. The mockery from June is a distant, bitter memory. The high command in Berlin is now in a state of unbridled panic. The primitive rabble has produced a weapon years ahead of anything in the Wehrmacht's arsenal. Back in Germany, at the Kummersdorf proving grounds, the atmosphere is one of a frantic, high-stakes autopsy. A captured T-34-76, battle-scarred and smelling of diesel and burnt paint, sits under the harsh lights of an engineering hangar. A team of Germany's best designers, engineers, and metallurgists, men from Daimler-Benz, MAN, Henschel, and even Dr. Ferdinand Porsche, walk around it, their faces grim. They carry clipboards, calipers, and slide rules. They are here as part of the Panzerkommission, an emergency task force convened by Armaments Minister Albert Speer. Their brief is simple. Figure out how the Soviets did this, and copy it. Look at this, one engineer mutters, tapping the front glacis plate with a metal rod. It's 45mm. Our 50mm gun should go through it. But it doesn't, Herr Doctor, another replies, holding up a schematic. Look at the angle. 60 degrees from the vertical. 60 Grad. He begins to scribble equations. The genius of the T-34 is not just its thickness. Its geometry, simple trigonometry, a 45mm plate, sloped at 60 degrees, forces an incoming shell to travel through the equivalent of 90mm of vertical steel. The Panzer III's 50mm gun cannot penetrate 90mm of armor. It is a mathematical impossibility. But the ricochet, another engineer insists, that is the true innovation. The shell doesn't even get the chance to penetrate. The angle presents such a poor striking surface that the projectile's bite is defeated. It is abgewiesen, deflected, thrown away. They examine the turret. It is not a complex multi-plate construction like their panzers. It is cast in one massive rounded piece. It is crude, pockmarked from the mold, but it presents angled surfaces from nearly every direction. They climb inside. The contrast is shocking. Where the Panzer III is a cramped but well-thought-out fighting machine, the T-34 is a disaster. There is no turret basket, a Daimler-Benz man notes with disgust. The commander and gunner must stand on the ammunition boxes. When the turret traverses, they must shuffle their feet to keep up. It's barbaric. The ergonomics are appalling, another adds, pointing to the gunner's sight. It is a simple, crude periscope. The visibility is non-existent, and look, the commander is also the gunner. He must find targets, aim the gun, load the gun, and command the tank all at once. The radio, an officer points out, is present in only one of every 10 tanks. The others use flags. Like the last war, they find the flaws. The two-man turret crew is hopelessly overworked. The transmission is a nightmare, so difficult to shift that drivers are issued hammers to force the gear levers. The crew's vision is terrible. The interior is Spartan, uncomfortable, and dangerous. But then an engineer from Henschel sums up the terrifying truth. Gentlemen, he says quietly, you are correct. It is horribly designed. It is crude. It is uncomfortable. And it is a piece of trash. He pauses, slapping the sloped 45mm plate. But Herr Doktoren, it is the right kind of trash. All our superior engineering, our comfortable crews, our excellent radios, our superb optics, they mean nothing because we cannot kill this thing. And this thing, it can kill us from a kilometer away. The Panzerkommission's report to Berlin is blunt. The T-34 has achieved a perfect, brutal synthesis of three elements: sloped armor, a powerful gun, and superior mobility. The Führer is enraged. The initial proposal from Guderian and the Commission is simple. Copy it. Build an exact copy of the T-34, part for part. But German industrial pride and Hitler's own ego forbids it. They will not build a primitive Bolshevik machine. They will build something better. They will take the T-34's concepts, the sloped armor, the long gun, the wide tracks, and they will perfect them with German engineering. The order is given. Daimler-Benz and MAN are to design a new medium tank, Panzerkampfwagen II. It will have sloped armor, better sloped armor. It will have a more powerful gun, the new 75mm KWK-42L70. It will have a comfortable 3-man turret. It will be the perfect synthesis of Soviet brutality and German sophistication. It will be called the Panther. And from Henschel and Porsche comes a separate directive. Create a heavy tank, a Durchbruchswagen, breakthrough tank that can kill anything on the battlefield. It will mount the most feared weapon on the front, the 88. It will be called the Tiger. The arms race has begun. But these new weapons are just drawings in October 1941. They are more than a year away. On the Eastern Front, in the mud and snow before Moscow, Oberleutnant Wolfram Kessel and the men of the Panzerwaffe have only their obsolete tin cans. And the T-34s are still coming. December 5th, 1941, 11 hours. The Kashira sector south of Moscow. The temperature is minus 35 degrees Celsius. Oberleutnant Wolfram Kessel no longer recognizes his Panzer III. It is painted a ghostly, streaked white, a camouflage applied with buckets and mops. The paint is flaking, revealing the dark Panzergrau beneath. It looks like a leper. Nothing works. Kessel sits in his turret wrapped in every piece of clothing he possesses, felt boots, greatcoat, scarves. It is still not enough. The cold is a physical weight, a presence that seeps through the steel hull and into his bones. His breath freezes instantly on the metal around the vision slit. "Hans, try it again," he orders, his voice muffled by the scarf over his mouth. "It's no good, Herr Oberleutnant." The driver's voice crackles back, strained. The starter is frozen. The oil is, it's like tar. "It won't turn over." To start the engine of a Panzer III in this cold, the crew must first light a fire under the engine block for almost an hour, just to thaw the lubricants. The batteries are dead. The optics are fogged with ice. The machine gun's firing pins are snapping in the cold. The Wehrmacht, the masters of mechanical warfare, have been defeated by the weather. The High Command's mockery is now a distant, grotesque joke. The Führer had assured them the campaign would be over by autumn. They were issued no winter clothing. Men are stuffing their tunics with newspapers. Frostbite is claiming more casualties than the enemy. The Rasputitsa mud has frozen solid. And now the panzers are sliding on the ice, their narrow tracks offering no grip. But the T-34 works. Kessel watches through his binoculars. Across the frozen expanse, a column of them is moving. They are T-34s, but they are accompanied by something new. Small white-painted figures clinging to the tanks' hulls. "Infantry," Kessel mutters. "They're riding on the tanks. Tanko descent Niki." The T-34's wide tracks grip the ice and snow. Their diesel engines, unlike the German gasoline engines, are more tolerant of the cold. They are moving with a speed and agility that Kessel can only dream of. And then, the sound, the deep rolling thunder of a Soviet artillery barrage. "Incoming," Eric screams. The world dissolves into noise and black smoke. It is General Zhukov's great counteroffensive. Fresh Siberian divisions equipped for the cold are being thrown at the exhausted, frozen Germans. "They're coming," Kessel shouts, frantically wiping the ice from his periscope. A wave of T-34s charges across the snowfield. They are not advancing cautiously as they did in June. They are attacking Sturmartillerie style with infantry huddled behind them. "Hans, get us moving. Get us moving now." The engine finally catches, coughing, sputtering, and roaring to life in a cloud of thick black smoke. The Panzer III lurches forward, its tracks slipping. "Karl, target 11 o'clock. I see him. Firing, crack!" The 50mm Panzer granite streaks across the white landscape. It hits the T-34's sloped glacis. "Hurry!" The sound is the same. The sound of failure. The shell ricochets a tiny yellow spark against the vast cold white. It's no use. It's still not working. Karl is almost sobbing. "Aim for the turret ring. Aim for the tracks. Just keep firing." Kessel orders, the T-34 fires. Kawoom! The shell hits the Panzer III next to Kessel's. The 76.2mm high-explosive round shatters the thinner side armor. The tank brews up instantly, a bright orange torch against the snow. "Pull back. Pull back to the tree line." Kessel is screaming. There is no doctrine for this, no plan. There is only survival. All along the front, from Moscow to Rostov, the story is the same. The Panzerwaffe is being bled white. The only thing that can stop a T-34 is an 88mm flak gun, a 105mm artillery piece scoring a lucky direct hit, or a Stuka Kanonenvogel with its 37mm underwing cannons. But the Luftwaffe is grounded by the snow. The 88s are too few and they are static. The Lancer have to invent new suicidal tactics. They learn to wait in their frozen foxholes as the T-34 rumbles over them. As it passes, a soldier with a Haft-Holedung, a magnetic hollow charge mine, must sprint out, slap the mine onto the tank's rear armor, and dive for cover before it detonates. It is a suicide mission. They create Molotov cocktails hoping to set the engine deck grill on fire. They try to jam crowbars into the suspension. This is not war. This is a desperate, primitive defense against a superior machine. By March 1942, the offensive is broken. The Wehrmacht has been pushed back hundreds of kilometers. It has suffered over 1 million casualties. The myth of its invincibility is shattered. And in Berlin, the engineers at Henschel and Mann are working with a desperate, feverish intensity. The reports from the front are no longer after-action reports. They are eulogies for the Panzer III and I-4. The new tanks, the Panther and the Tiger, are no longer just better replacements. They are the only hope. The High Command, once so arrogant, now waits humiliated for its engineers to save them. The mockery of June 1941 has been answered by the slaughter of winter 1941. The reversal is total. August 29, 1942. 09 hours. The Sinyavino sector near Leningrad. The mud is back. It's not the frozen glass-like mud of Moscow, but a thick, autumnal slurry that sucks at boots and clings to steel. Under a fissure, Otto Carius, a loader in the 502nd Heavy Panzer Battalion, can barely contain his excitement. The fear of the previous winter is gone, replaced by an almost religious awe. He is standing next to his new machine, a machine that has just arrived at the front. It is Panzerkampfwagen 6, the Tiger. It makes the Panzer III Kessel commanded look like a child's toy. The Tiger is a slab of engineering, a 57-ton mobile fortress. Its frontal armor is 100 millimeters thick. Not sloped, just flat, brutally thick, perpendicular steel. It carries the gun they had all prayed for, the 8.8 Simodid KK-36 L-56. It is the tank-mounted version of the legendary Flak 88. It is a monster, Carius whispers to his gunner. It's a Wagenburg, wagon fortress. Nothing can stop us now. The High Command, reeling from the T-34 shock, has rushed its new weapons into service. The Tiger is the first. Its deployment is a closely guarded secret. These first few are here to break the stalemate at Leningrad, to restore the balance. At 11:30 they move. The ground trembles. The Tiger's Maybach engine gives a deep, reverberating roar. They encounter the enemy almost immediately. T-34s. The commander, Lieutenant Müller, calls out, his voice calm, steady, transmitted through the excellent new intercom. Range, 100 meters. 3 of them. A year ago, this would have been a death sentence. It would have meant a frantic retreat, a desperate call for 88s. Now it is an execution. Gunner, target lead tank. Panzergranate 39. The gunner, peering through his crystal-clear Zeiss optics, lays the crosshairs on the distant green shape. Target acquired. Fire. Krakum. The Tiger rocks back from the recoil, a massive shove. The 88-meter shell covers the 1,100 meters in just over a second. Carius, through his vision port, sees the T-34 simply come apart. The 88mm shell hits the 45mm sloped plate. It does not ricochet. It does not deflect. It rips through the armor, through the crew, and detonates the ammunition. The turret is blasted 40 feet into the air, spinning. Next target, the commander says, his voice flat. Rakum. A second T-34 attempting to turn is hit in the side. The shell punches through and the tank bursts into flames. The third T-34, its crew watching this nightmare unfold, throws itself into reverse, disappearing behind a pall of its own exhaust smoke. Targets destroyed. The gunner reports. The crew is silent. The T-34 shock is over. The Germans have an answer, but the Tiger is not the only answer. As 1943 dawns, the factories at MAN and Daimler-Benz are churning out the other solution. The Panther. It is, in many ways, the more direct response. Where the Tiger is a heavy breakthrough monster, the Panther is a true medium tank. It is essentially a German-engineered T-34, It has the same wide tracks for mobility. It has thick, beautifully sloped armor, 80mm on the front glasses, angled at 55 degrees. And it has a gun that is perhaps the finest tank cannon of the entire war, the 7.5cm KWK-42 L70. This long-barreled, high-velocity weapon fires a tungsten cord, Panzer Granite 40 shell at a muzzle velocity so extreme, it can punch through a T-34's armor from over 2,000 meters. By the spring of 1943, the Wehrmacht is being re-equipped. The battered Panzer IIIs are being phased out or converted. The workhorse is now the upgraded Panzer IV with its new long L48 gun, finally capable of killing a T-34 at combat range. And supporting them are the new deadly cats, the Tiger and the Panther. The German High Command, humiliated and forced into an arms race, has regained its confidence. The mockery of 1941 has been reversed. They believe once again that they possess technological superiority. They decide to use this newfound strength. They will mass their new panzers into an iron fist, a Panzerkeil, and strike the Soviets at a massive salient in the front lines, a bulge in the map near a sleepy, unremarkable railway town. The operation is codenamed Citadel. Citadel. The world will come to know it as the Battle of Kursk. The Soviets, however, have not been idle. They know about the Tiger, they know about the Panther, and they have been preparing. They are not just building more T-34s, they are building smarter T-34s. And they are building something else, something even bigger. April 12, 1943. O2 is ours. Factory number 183, Nizhny Tagil, Ural Mountains. The city is called Tankograd, Tank City. It does not sleep. It does not rest. Here, deep behind the Ural Mountains, safe from Luftwaffe bombers, is the evacuated heart of the Soviet war machine. Inside a cavernous assembly hall, the air is a hellish roar of riveting guns, overhead cranes, and grinding metal. Arc welders throw brilliant blue-white sparks illuminating the faces of the workers. They are not just men. They are women, teenagers, and old men, working 12-hour shifts, fueled by black bread and a burning, singular hatred. They are building T-34s, but these are not the T-34s of 1941. The lessons learned by Kessel's victims have also been learned by their creators. The crude early war models have been refined. A Stakhanovite, shockworker forewoman, her hair tied in a practical kerchief, runs a gloved hand over the new turret. The early T-34s had a cramped two-man turret that forced the commander to also be the gunner. It was a fatal flaw. This new turret, the hexagonal nut turret, is larger. Crucially, it has a new commander's cupola, a bubble of periscopes offering 360-degree vision. For the first time, a T-34 commander can command. He can see the battlefield. He can direct his driver and gunner. The radios are no longer just for platoon leaders. Every tank has one. The transmission, that hammer-breaking monster, has been improved. The filters that failed in the dust of 1941 have been redesigned. The Soviets have not reinvented their tank. They have perfected it. They are not building a handful of exquisite, complex Tigers that require 300,000 man-hours apiece. They are building thousands of good-enough T-34s. By the summer of 1943, Tankograd is churning out over 1,300 T-34s per month. But even as they perfect the T-34, they know it is no longer enough. Their spies, their partisans, and the brutal lessons of the front have brought them chilling news of the Tiger and the Panther. The 76-point Tuma gun, which once seemed so invincible, cannot reliably penetrate the Tiger's frontal armor. A new solution is required. In another part of the factory, a different beast is being assembled. It has no turret. It is built on the chassis of a KV-1 heavy tank. It is essentially just a massive armored box with a gun. But what a gun. It is the ML-20, a 152mm core-level howitzer. It is a weapon designed to smash concrete fortifications, to level city blocks. It is not a tank gun. It is a siege cannon. The engineers at Kirov and Chelyabinsk have mounted it in this armored chassis and called it the Su-152. The crews that test it are awestruck. They don't fire armor-piercing rounds. They fire 107-pound high-explosive shells. At the Kubinka Proving Grounds, they test it against a captured Tiger. The 152mm shell hits the Tiger's 100mm frontal plate. It does not penetrate. It rips the turret clean off the hull from the sheer concussive blast. The crews give it a nickname. Zveroboy, the beast killer. The Wehrmacht is preparing its animal menagerie. The Red Army is preparing its hunter. Meanwhile, on the front, Marshal Georgy Zhukov and Marshal Konstantin Rokossovsky are not planning an attack. They are planning a trap. Their intelligence, gleaned from the Lucy spy ring and British codebreakers, has given them the Wehrmacht's entire plan. Operation Citadel. They know where the Germans will strike. They know when, and they know what they will bring. So they dig. All through May and June 1943, the front at Kursk becomes the most heavily fortified place on earth. Hundreds of thousands of civilians, mostly women and children, are mobilized. They dig anti-tank ditches, miles and miles of them, deep and wide enough to swallow a Panther. They lay mines, not thousands, not hundreds of thousands. They lay 3 million mines. They create a density of 2,500 anti-tank mines and 2,700 anti-personnel mines per kilometer of frontage. And they wait. Oberleutnant Wolfram Kessel, now a Hauptmann, sits in his new tank. It is a Panzer VI Tiger. He feels the old confidence, the 1941 confidence, return. He feels invincible. His crew is a veteran elite crew. His gun can kill anything. On July 4th, 1943, the air is hot, humid, and thick with tension. Kessel and thousands of other Panzer commanders wait for the signal. They are the tip of the Panzerkeil, the armored wedge that will punch through the line, encircle the Red Army, and win the war. The initial mockery, the 1941 reversal, has led to this moment. This is the final act. At 02:30 on July 5th, the German artillery opens up. The ground shakes. Citadel has begun. Section 9. The Citadel and the Grave, July 5th, 1943. 05 hours. The southern face of the Kursk salient, Hauptmann Wolfram Kessel, gives the order. Alle Panzer vorwärts. Keilformation. All tanks forward. Wedge formation. His Tiger number 217 lurches forward, its massive 680 horsepower engine roaring. He is part of the 4th Panzer Army, spearheading the attack. To his left and right are the brand new Panthers of the 10th Panzer Brigade. Behind them, hundreds of Panzer IVs and assault guns. This is the greatest concentration of German armor ever assembled. It is beautiful. It is terrible. Kessel feels the deep vibrating thud of his own artillery firing behind him. The Nebelwerfer rockets scream overhead, a sound like tearing cloth trailing plumes of smoke. Look at them. His gunner Karl, a survivor from his old Panzer III crew, mutters in awe. The Panthers. They are magnificent. They are. They glide across the steppe, their sloped armor gleaming in the hazy dawn light. They look like T-34s, but better, meaner. Kessel feels the old familiar surge of arrogance. The High Command has delivered. This time they are invincible. Then they hit the minefield. Boom! A Panzer IV, 300 meters to Kessel's left, disappears in a geyser of black earth and fire. Boom! Boom! A Panther hits a mine, its left track blown clean off, the tank slewing to a halt, helpless. Another follows. The radio net, moments before so calm and professional, erupts in screams. Minen! Minen! Der ganze Sektor ist vermint. Mines, mines. The whole sector is mined. Pioniere vor. We need engineers. We're bogged down. Kessel's Tiger is too heavy. It shrugs off the first anti-personnel mine it hits, but Hans, his veteran driver, is weaving frantically, trying to find a clear path. The Panzerkeil slows, then stops, shattered before it has even met the enemy. And the new Panthers, the great hope of the Wehrmacht, are catching fire. Herr Hauptmann, Karl yells, pointing. Look, that Panther. It's burning. It hasn't been hit. There is no incoming fire. A Panther from the 10th Brigade, its engine strained by the frantic stop-start maneuvering, has suddenly belched a cloud of black smoke. Flames are leaking from its engine vents. The crew bails out, frantic. Then another. And another. The Panther, a brilliant design, has been rushed into production. Its fuel lines are not properly shielded. Its engine overheats. Its transmission fails. Of the 200 Panthers that begin the attack, more than half will be out of action by the end of the first day. Most of them from mechanical failure, not combat. Forget them. Kessel roars. We are tigers. We push through. Hans, find a gap. Push through. They find a lane cleared by the Pionieren and crest a small rise. Below them is the first Soviet trench line, and it is waiting for them. The ground erupts, not from mines but from guns. Hundreds of them. Zhukov has not put his tanks on the front line. He has buried them. Kessel sees it. A T-34 dug into the earth until only its turret is visible. A tank pillbox. It fires. Clang. The 76mm round hits the Tiger's 100mm frontal plate and shatters. Target. Turret. 1 o'clock. Firing. Karl is ICECOM. Krakum. The 80mm shell pulverizes the T-34 turret. But as soon as he destroys it, 3 more fire from different positions, and mixed in with them are the sharp flat packs of 76.2mm IS-3 anti-tank guns, perfectly camouflaged, firing from pre-sighted killing zones. This isn't a blitzkrieg. This isn't a war of maneuver. This is a meat grinder. The Germans are advancing, but they are paying for every single meter in blood and steel. By 16-0, Kessel's Tiger is a fortress under siege. They have advanced 6 kilometers. 6. In 1941, they would have covered 60. His tank is pockmarked with hits. The 76mm rounds can't penetrate, but they are shattering vision blocks, blowing off stowage boxes and fraying the nerves of the crew. Report. His commander crackles over the radio. We are through the first line, Kessel pants, wiping soot from his face. Heavy resistance. Heavy losses in the Panzer III. The Panthers are unreliable. But we are moving. And then, he sees it. From the woods to his front, a new wave of Soviet tanks is emerging. They are T-34s, but they are not the 1941 model. They are the new T-34-76 model 1943, with the commander's cupola. They are fighting smarter using wolf pack tactics, swarming the heavier but slower Tigers. They know they can't kill his Tiger from the front. They don't try. 2 of them. Right flank, fast. Karl screams. 2 T-34s race past Kessel's field of fire daringly. They are trying to get at his thinner side armor. Hans frantically tries to turn the Tiger. Its turret traverse is agonizingly slow. Too fast. I can't track. Kessel watches as the T-34s speed past, firing on the move, their shells clanging uselessly off his front but drawing his fire. It's a distraction. Herr Hauptmann. Left. From a gully, hidden by the smoke, a low-slung, turretless thing emerges. It's an Su-152, the Zveroboy, the beast killer. It's less than 500 meters away. It stops. Its massive 150mm gun barrel is aimed directly at them. Kessel has only 1 second to think. It's not a joke. It's real. Fire. Karl, fire! The Tiger and the Su-152 fire at the exact same moment. Rakum. Kessel's 80-80 shell hits the Su-152's thick frontal armor and ricochets. A blinding flash. The world ends. The Su-152's 107-pound high-explosive shell strikes the Tiger on the turret. It does not penetrate the 100mm armor. It doesn't have to. The resulting explosion, a force so vast it defies description, shears the 11-ton turret clean from its bearings. The blast wave is channeled into the fighting compartment, turning the air into a white-hot plasma. Hauptmann Wolfram Kessel, Karl, Hans, and the rest of the crew are killed instantly. Their invincible Tiger is a decapitated, burning wreck. The Panzerkeil is broken. The arms race has reached its bloody, thundering climax. And the reversal, which began in 1941, is now complete. The T-34 and the industrial theological nightmare that built it has won. July 12, 1943, 14:20 hours. A field near Prokhorovka. The air is unbreathable. It is a thick, choking soup of diesel fumes, cordite, burning oil, and vaporized steel. This is the epicenter of Zitadelle, the largest tank battle in human history. General Feldmarschall Erich von Manstein, the aristocratic, brilliant mind behind the Southern Pincer, watches through his binoculars from a command post. What he sees is not a Panzerkeil breaking through. It is 2 iron floods crashing into each other. The battlefield is a smoking 15-square-kilometer charnel house, littered with the burning carcasses of hundreds of tanks. His new Panthers and Tigers are technologically superior, yes. His crews are exacting a terrible toll, killing T-34s at ranges the Soviets cannot match. For every Tiger lost, 10, even 15 T-34s are burning. But it doesn't matter, because for every 10 T-34s Manstein's panzers kill, 20 more appear over the rise. He watches a Tiger from the 2nd SS Panzer Corps, a veteran crew systematically destroying T-34s one by one. Krakum, a T-34 explodes. Krakum, another. And then a wave of them like feral dogs simply swarms it. They charge, sacrificing themselves, closing the distance. One gets to its flank. One to its rear. The Tiger, its traverse too slow, is overwhelmed. It is smothered by sheer, fanatical, impossible numbers. This is the true, horrifying answer to the German arms race. The Panzerkommission had diagnosed the T-34's strengths. sloped armor, a good gun, mobility. But they had missed the most important one, simplicity. The Panther is an engineering masterpiece. It is also a logistical nightmare. It requires specialized parts, highly skilled labor, and 300,000 man-hours to build. The T-34-76 is a crude box. It is welded by teenagers. It uses tractor parts. It is designed to be built by anyone, anywhere. And it can be built in a fraction of the time for a fraction of the cost. The Germans have built a handful of perfect swords. The Soviets have built a river of imperfect, good-enough hammers. At Kursk, the river drowns the swordsman. Operation Citadel is a catastrophic failure. The Wehrmacht loses over 1,500 panzers and assault guns, many of them the irreplaceable Panthers and Tigers. It is a blow from which the Panzerwaffe will never, ever recover. The strategic initiative on the Eastern Front is lost forever, and the final, crushing irony is yet to come. Winter, 1944, Tankograd. The Soviet response to the Tiger and Panther is now rolling off the assembly lines. The Germans, in their arrogance, assumed the Soviets would have to design a complex, new, heavy tank to compete. They are wrong. The engineers at Nizhny Tagil have taken their proven mass-produced T-34 chassis. They have taken the new, lethal 85mm anti-aircraft gun, their own 88, and they have designed a new, much larger three-man turret to hold it. The result is the T-34-85. It is the perfect final synthesis. It retains the mobility and simplicity of the original T-34, but now it has the armor-piercing punch to kill a Tiger from the side and a Panther from the front at combat ranges. It is the tank the German High Command mocked in 1941, now fully evolved. It is the tank that will drive the Wehrmacht from the gates of Moscow all the way back to the rubble of Berlin. When the T-34-85s appear, there is no shock in the German High Command. There is only a weary, horrified resignation. The arms race they were forced into, the race they thought they had won with their cats, was a fatal diversion. While they were building their complex menagerie, the Soviets were simply sharpening the claws of the one beast that mattered. The T-34, the revolutionary design with its thick, sloped armor, did not just decimate German panzers in 1941. It forced the German High Command, in its dismissive arrogance, into a disastrous technological and industrial trap. The initial mockery turned to reversal, and that reversal led, tank by tank, factory by factory, grave by grave, to the fall of the Third Reich.